Welcome to the Tenaroo Foundation's webinar series. This session is an overview of the Websites module and how to build a new website. In this session, I will cover the layout of the Websites module. We'll talk about configuring settings for your website, and we'll also talk about building the structure and navigation for your site. The Tenaroo website is designed to be user-friendly and easy to update. With consistent design elements to make it look good on any device and help visitors find what they need. It is integrated with our other modules to guide your units and families to your event registrations and facility bookings. Even if you don't have a full website with us, we still provide you with a free mini site so you can take advantage of some of our integration options as well as securely hosting your form builder forms. I'll be showing the basic website setup in this webinar, and we'll cover the integration elements in the Building Web Pages webinar. So let's now take a quick walkthrough of the admin interface. To get started, click on the Websites button in the admin menu on the left-hand side of the screen. This brings up a box that has all of your Tenaroo websites in it. Some councils only have one site or a mini site with us, while others have multiple sites. All of these sites can be accessed through the same selection box. If you don't have websites with us and would like to add that module, please reach out to us and we will add that to your service agreement. The module includes a primary site and a free secondary site that's optional and can be used to promote your summer camp. You can add more sites for an additional cost, and we also offer subdomain sites at a much lower cost. For example, district.tenaroo.com. These are great if you want a separate site with its own permissions, but the styling and main domain can be the same. Unlike our other modules, we'll do the initial site creation for you, then work with you to design the custom styling for colors, logos, etc., and then you'll be able to start building out the content of your site. If you have questions about getting started with new websites, please reach out and we will set up an initial meeting. Once you have a website selected, you will see several options for managing different aspects of the website in the blue nav bar at the top. Pages is the list of pages on your site and where you will go to add and edit pages. Contacts is your master list of contacts that can be added to pages and updated centrally. Menus is where you will build and manage menus that help your users navigate to what they need. Resources is a central repository of documents and files that you can add to pages and menus, as well as hosting documents you want to share via messages or emails. And Settings is where you will configure the main settings of your site, as well as set the homepage boxes. We're going to start with Settings today. Website Settings has two main tabs, General and Messages. On the General tab, we have several cards that I'm going to walk through one by one. The Council Contact Info card includes your council name, phone, main email, and address. This contact info is displayed on your website in a couple of different places. You can update this at any time, like if the council changes the primary email or the office moves to a new location. But for most councils, this is a set it and forget it situation. If your contact info does change, please also let us know, as we have that information elsewhere in the system that we need to update for you. Next, we have two boxes for the Join button and the Donate button. These two boxes control the tabs above the site navigation menu on your website. You can change the links on these tabs at any time, like if your donation page link is different from what we set for you, or you want to send them to a separate donation service. If the page they're linking to is on this site, you can set it to set open in the same window. And if the link goes to an external site like beascout.scouting.org, you can set it to open in a new window so your users will still have your website open. If you want to change the labels on either of these buttons, send us an email request and we can change the names for you. All right, now let's go to the calendar card. This allows you to modify the default behavior of the calendar and customize how your calendar works on your website. When you are building events in the events module or adding calendar events in the website, you will set the event category, which defines which calendar each event appears on. By default, all of your events will also show on a primary calendar, and your users can switch between categories to view all events in a given category. Some of those behaviors can be changed though, so let's look at your customization options. First, you can disable the primary calendar that includes all of the categories and instead set a specific calendar to be the default calendar for your users. And this might be useful to you if you want to prioritize the camping category on your summer camp website. Or you could show the council events category or you could show the council category first on your main council site and not have all the district and training and camping events included in the same view. If you do use the primary category that brings all events into one calendar, you can opt out of showing districts in that primary calendar. And you might want to do this if your primary calendar is getting super busy and you want to streamline things a bit, and your users can still switch to their district's calendar. They just won't all be included in the one master calendar. You can also choose to show or hide the calendar on the home page. So let's look at this with calendar shown on the home page first. When you have that toggle on, your users will see this bar that includes the next few upcoming events on your primary calendar, whatever you have set as the primary calendar, and they will have a button to view the full calendar, which takes them to the calendar page on the website that has all of the events for the current month. You'll also see the space to the right that defaults to the Scout Salute graphic. You can set your own graphic or add other code to that space if you wish. I'll talk about that a little while later. Now, if we go back and we disable Show Calendar on the home page and save our changes, let's go look at that. So this will hide that whole bar from the home page. The calendar is all still there in your site. It's just not going to be shown on the home page. Let's turn that guy back on. All right, next we have the event categories shown on the site. So like I said before, these categories are shared throughout your system and are used in the events module and all of your websites in the websites module. But you can hide categories on each of your websites to focus that calendar a little bit more. So if you want to hide some of these categories on a given website, you can uncheck those categories and that calendar and their events will be not shown on this calendar. Even though the category is hidden, links to event pages on this category will still work. And the event pages can still be found using website search function. You can link to them, but your users won't find them on a calendar anywhere on your site. A common use for hiding categories is if you have multiple websites and you want to show specific categories on each site. For example, you want to focus your camping events on the camp website and then keep your training events on your council website. If you want to customize the items in this list, you can do so. You can send us an email to request changes to your calendar categories. We can add categories, rename categories, or remove them altogether. If you want us to delete categories, we need to know which replacement category to use for any events on that calendar. Even if there's nothing there, we still need to define a replacement category. Now, I mentioned earlier that the default Scout Salute image can be changed to another image or set to different content. First, with this space, it is important to note that this content only shows on desktop or laptop view. It's not shown on mobile devices. So you may not want to add stuff here that you need your users to see. So setting it to something like a graphic, like the CSP design or your camp's logo, those are good options for this spot. To customize the content here, you will need to add HTML code for what you want to see. I'll show you some code that you can use to add responsive images during the advanced page layout and galleries webinar, but let me plug in a quick example of what I mean by being able to replace the Scout Salute image. So I'm going to add some code here, and then, you know what, hang on. I want to show that Scout Salute logo one more time. So here's the default image that shows up if you don't have anything in that code space. And then we'll put in our custom code. And now it's the Scout Me In logo instead. Proceeding on to the social media card. This allows you to add your social media accounts to your website. This feature creates buttons in the header and footer of your website, linking your users to your social media accounts. And we have custom fields and logos set up for the most popular social platforms. And most of these options will automatically add the route of the URL, and then all you need to do is add the username or handle. For example, our full Facebook URL is https://www.facebook.com/Tenaru. The facebook.com/ part is already added to the code, so all I need to do here is type the word Tentaru. That's all that matters because that's the handle for our Facebook account. And then when I go to look at it on the website and click the button, it brings me right to the Facebook account. If you add the full URL to this space, the link won't work. So make sure to test each button as you add it to confirm that you have entered this data correctly. The one exception to that is the blog option. And this can link to any blog service. So you do require the full URL for this. And if you don't enter the full URL, it will give you a warning. So you have to go back and get the full URL for that. All right, the next card is the search engine metadata, or SEO. Search engines like Google are looking for this data when someone does a search, and it will present your data to the users when it's answering the search inquiry. So having quality SEO data helps you get found. Every website has a starter set of SEO that we add for you. And then if you want to modify this, I recommend having someone who is well-versed in how SEO works, edit this to customize it for your council. But just a few quick comments on this. The title is probably the most important part because it renames the tab in the browser. And then when you're looking at a page later on your site, it will also show the, sorry, let's try that again. It will show the website title after the title of the page you're on. The description and the keywords are can be used to optimize search results, but you can skip modifying this unless you know what you're doing. And this would probably be your marketing team or a search engine expert who you would want to have customize these. Any data that you add in these three boxes will also affect all of the pages on your site. And these SEO settings are also available for each page. So you can set them for each subsequent page for finer control of your search results. The next card is for your analytics tracking script. Tracking scripts help you review visitation data, like how many visitors you have to each page and how many pages they visited. You can add a specific tracking script to this box, like a Facebook pixel code or a Google tracking code, or you can add the script for a combination service like Google Tag Manager, which passes visitation data onto multiple services, and then they display that data for you in one app, in one website, where you can review all of it together. Those services will tell you what code you need to add to the website, and you can paste that code in this box, and that will be added to the head of every page on your site. If they ask you to place a second script for the body or the footer, you can add that second script to the map code below them, to the map in footer box, but after your map code. So let's talk about the map in footer card. This is used to display an online map, such as from Google Maps, in the footer of your website. And we do offer free area maps of your council service area, which we can add for you if you don't already have that on your site. Or you can use this for a different map, such as one that points to your council service center or to your camp property. If you want to change the map embedded in the footer, you can do that. Just make sure to change the width value from a set number of pixels, which is what Google gives to you in your embed code, to 100%. And what that does is it makes the map fit the width available to it, whether it's narrow or wide on a mobile device or a desktop view. And then you can adjust the pixels for the height. You do want that to be pixels because 100% will get very tall, but set that to a number of pixels that fit the space. So you can adjust that, check it out on your live site, come back and adjust again. The last card in website settings, or in the general settings, is the social widget in footer box. And we will work with you to set this up. And it's usually pointing to Facebook or X, formerly Twitter. And it shows the feed from the social media platform to visitors on your site. Social media accounts used for this box must be public or they won't appear to your users. So if your social media isn't working here for some reason, you can reach out to me, schedule a training, and we can troubleshoot together. Just please make sure that the person troubleshooting with me has login access to make changes so that we can make adjustments to get it to show up on your website. And if your council does not use social media very much, you can instead use the space for a graphic, such as the Scout Me In logo. And if you want to do this, go ahead and reach out and we will help you get something else to work in this space. All right, I'm going to click Save Changes for anything that I might have adjusted. Let's go back up to the top and switch over to the Messages tab. The Messages section of website settings is where you will manage the 4 colorful boxes on your home page, also called Site Messages. These boxes are great to promote your upcoming events like Scouts BSA Summer Camp or perhaps your next fundraiser. So knowing how to update them is key to keeping your homepage fresh with important data. Each of these boxes has fields for title, description, a label, a link, and then of course where you want that link to open. Description is optional. You don't have to fill that one out, but the other fields are required. When you're adding a link for your button, if you are linking to a page on your site, it's best if you use a relative link like /summer-camp. And I'm going to talk more about relative links and absolute links in the Building Web Pages webinar, but that's for a link on your own site, that's enough. And then if you're linking to another website like our website, Tenaroo.com, you would need the full URL. Once you are finished adjusting your homepage boxes and you save, I always recommend that you come back out to your live site and refresh and check to make sure that all of your content looks good. And I would also recommend checking it on a mobile device because there are times where your content looks good on desktop view, but then maybe it's too much text for the mobile view and you might want to shorten it. Dismiss that. All right, so now that we have gone through all of the website settings, let's revisit the blue nav bar and go through some of the other sections. I'm going to visit the Resources tab next. Resources are a repository of digital files and documents and are shared between all of your sites. The Tenaroo website makes it easy to share resources on pages as well as in the events and facilities modules. So I have an example for you of how the resources show up on a page on your site. Now I'll demonstrate how resources can be integrated with your pages like this when we get into the Building Web Pages webinar. Sharing resources isn't limited to your Tenaroo system though. You can share direct links to resources through email, social media, other websites. It's just a link to a resource that anyone can download. All right, now in this section, let's first talk about categories. Resource categories help your team organize your files. This is just for internal organization purposes though, so you can make a filing system here that makes sense for your staff. Click the New button to add a new category. And this is just a title to basically a folder. So it can be anything that makes sense to your council. Click Create, and now you have that available on your list. So here's my sample category. Once you have categories set up in your system, you can use the search bar at the top to find a specific category. So let's find my sample. There it is. Within this section, the pencil icon on the card will open up the editor so you can change the category's name, or you can use the trash can or the delete button in the editor to remove it from your list. You can turn on the show deleted toggle to see other links that have been, or other categories that have been deleted, and then you can restore those if you want to bring that back. All right, well, let's move back over to the main resources list. All right, let's talk about adding and managing files. So this is the list of resources, and you will notice that they are sorted by the categories that we're just looking at. You can also filter for a specific category by changing the drop-down filter from all categories to a specific category. And then this list is searchable. So if you are looking for everything related to summer camp, we can type that in now. And there are the summer camp specific items. In this space, the advanced filter button opens up to show the show deleted toggle. So we can turn that on and then restore any items that have been deleted. So you can bring that back to use again in the future. To add a new resource, we'll click the New button, and this will open a form to enter details, upload a file to create your new resource. So the first thing you'll want to do is enter a name. This name will show on the resource list as well as on the page when you add the resource through our tool. And then the next thing is to select a category from your categories list. This list is also searchable, so we could find the category that way. And then if you don't see a category for what you want to use, you can click the white plus icon to add a new resource category from within this box. All right, and then the description box is optional, but if you're showing things on the web page, this description will appear. And you can use that to provide more information to help users understand that they need to download your document. And then we have the file upload space. And this will show you a couple of things. First, you find out that an 18 megabyte file size is the limit, so anything under that should load up for you. And then this shows you all of the supported formats for what you can upload to this space. To add the resource itself, you can drag and drop a file into that circle, and it will get added for you. Or you can click on the circle to browse your files. And once that is all added, you can click Create Resource, and now this resource will be added to your list, and you can link it to Pages or grab a direct link to share otherwise. All right, back to our list. Clicking directly on, back to our list, the three-dot menu on a resource card gives you several options. Preview will open a panel that has more details on this resource. Copy link will grab the resource link and add it to your clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else. We'll look at edit in just a moment, and then of course delete to remove this from the list and make it inaccessible to anybody who has the link. Also, clicking directly on a resource card will open the resource preview panel, the same as clicking preview in the three-dot menu. And this shows you the additional information about the resource. It also has options to download the file, which is this globe icon. And then you can copy the link using the chain link icon. And then there's, of course, an edit button. So I'm going to click edit to open up the editor for this resource. This is almost the same as adding a new resource. You can edit any of the details on this resource, but I also want to point out that you can change the owner. So the owner is one of the websites in your system. And what this defines is who has permission to manage this resource. So if you have given someone permissions to edit one website but not the other, then they only get to manage resources that are in the website, owned by the website that they have permission to edit. And this applies in a few other places in the system, such as contacts and event calendar pages. The other thing here is that you can actually swap out the, oh, I forgot one more thing about the original owner is set based on the website active when a resource is created. So I'm editing greatskycountry.com right now. Any resources that I add will be owned by greatskycountry.com. All right, you can also swap out the file itself without affecting the link. Let's say we have our summer camp leaders guide uploaded for last year. You've already linked it to the summer camp webpage, and you have it in the automated message for new registrations. It's in the leaders guide field in the event type, and you've shared it on social media. And now you need to upload and share next year's leaders guide. Rather than starting over with a brand new resource and updating all of those links that you've already sent out, you can edit the original resource, click the X to remove the assigned PDF document, and upload the new version for this year and save. The same link you used for last year's Leader's Guide will automatically connect to the current version of the guide, and your users can click the same link to get the new file. And you don't need to go around updating a whole bunch of different spots. All right, back to the blue nav bar. I'm actually going to skip over menus, go to contacts, and then we'll come back around to menus later. The contacts section has a lot of features that are similar to resources. Just like with resources, contacts are shared between all websites in your system. Contacts can be added to pages with multiple layout options for how they appear. And I have a couple of examples of how the contacts can be displayed on a page. So the first version I have is the contacts grid, and this offers a table with contact information, what their position is, the phone number, and a link to their email account, or a link to send them an email. The other layout that I want to show you is the photos layout. These are the same contacts as the page I just showed you, but with this example, I'm showing the photo that we've uploaded for each of those contacts. I will demonstrate how to get the contacts to show up on a web page and as well show all of the different layout options in the Building Web Pages webinar. Another similarity between contacts and resources is the contacts section has a list of categories that are used for internal organization of your people. These categories help you filter for groups of contacts. However, this list of categories is universal and cannot be modified for specific council systems. You can also use the search function to find specific people. And there is an advanced filter button with a show deleted toggle so you can see any deleted contacts. And as you can see, the contact section does allow you to add multiple contacts for a single person. And that's very helpful when you want to be able to add different contact cards for the same person for different roles that they play in the council, or different contact information depending on the role that they are fulfilling for that single thing. All right, let's go ahead and add a new contact now. So we're adding a new contact, and this will open up the contact form to add the details for this person. Contacts can be specific named individuals like Annika Koch, or they can be a role like Program Director. Either the title or the name are required, but not both. So if you wanted to add someone that was just the Program Director, you could do that without adding a specific name. This distinction allows you to have more flexibility over how you share and maintain each contact, especially with roles that are shared among a team and different people might be answering the email or the phone. So you can have just a program secretary position that is shared. Maybe that's not the greatest example for a shared one, but that is what that is for. On this form, contact info fields that are used in the front end are the name or position, and then the phone number, the phone extension, the email address. These are all used in the front end. The email address used here will link users to a form to send a contact request to the email address on file. These email addresses are not shown on the website directly. Some of the other fields like company name, mobile, and fax numbers, social media accounts are not currently displayed on the website. These are more for internal purposes, or you can just leave them blank. There's our social media accounts. Uploading a photo allows you to display a contact with their photos in the layout I showed you earlier. But it's not used in the other layouts. Once you have added all of your details, you can create contact, and that person will be added to the contacts list. All right, now that we're back at the main list, let's look at some options for managing existing contacts. The three-dot menu here has options to preview, edit, or delete the contact. You can also click on the card itself to open the preview panel, which shows the details entered for this person, and it has a button to edit. However you get there, once you're in the edit screen, you can update the contact details. Now, here's a best practice suggestion for you. If you have staffing changes, like you get a new camp director, you can change the name and contact info on your previous camp director contact, and any pages that use that contact will be updated automatically to your new staff member. It's still a good idea to search the website for manually entered contact details or mentions of the former ranger, but this step should make it a lot easier to quickly update that information. And as I mentioned in resources, contacts have the option to change the owner to control which admins can edit the contact based on their permissions to edit websites. All right, now let's go back to our blue nav bar and return to the menus section, which I skipped before. Menus are the main organization of your site and help your users find information quickly. A best practice for building websites on any platform is to keep it to 3 clicks for your users to get to their info. The Tenaroo menus are built to help with that. We have the main menus on the site, which are called site navigation, and these are always shown and are the main navigation for your site. And then we have secondary menus, which are the menus on pages, and these provide more navigation once your user gets to a page or a section of pages. So let's talk about site navigation. The site navigation menu shows in the header on every page of the website when you're in desktop view. When you're in mobile view, these are going to move to the side panel over here. And then regardless of which way you're looking at the website, they will also show in the footer. Let's see, all the way down here in the footer. There we go. And then there they are in the footer on desktop view. You can also set menu items that appear in a drop-down from the top-level menus in the header or in the sidebar. And I'll refer to these top-level menu items as level 1, although they are sometimes referred to as parent items when you're working in the editor. The drop-down menu items I will refer to as level 2. The list of menu items in the admin interface shows the level 1 menu items in the order in which they appear in the header of your website. And if it says that there are sub-items, you can use the arrow on the left of the title to expand that section and view the level 2 menu items that appear in your dropdown. This whole list is searchable, and results will bring up any level 1 or level 2 menu item. And then you can turn on Show Deleted to show any menu items that have been deleted, and then you get your Restore button. All right, now to add a new menu item here, we'll click the New button. And I'm going to show two examples of this today, one for each level since there are specific things to keep in mind for both. So we're going to start with a level 1 item, which is the top level navigation item on your website. So the first thing we do is we'll set a name. And this is how it's going to appear in the menu. So I'm going to label mine as Summer Camp. This does not have to be the same as the item you are linking to. For example, if your page has a really long title like Scouts BSA's Summer Resident Camp, you might want to shorten that in the menu to something like Summer Camp or Camping. That's going to take up less space. This is especially important for level 1 items because you do have limited space to add these. If you add too many, then they start to wrap onto a second line, and that may interfere with your drop-down menus and make it harder to get to your content, so you don't really want that. If you do find that your menus have wrapped, you can consolidate your menu items or you can rename to shorten things to get them all to fit. Now, I always advise linking these to something. There are several different options for this, but it's important to have your top level menu items especially linked to something. Even if you have a drop down menu for additional items, it's still best for the user if they can click on the main item itself and have it go somewhere. This especially applies to the footer menu where only level 1 menu items are listed. All right, so I'm going to go through those options real quick. The first option is page. When you set a link to a page, you have a selector where you can choose any page on your website, and that will be added as a link here. You can also set to go to a calendar, and this will let you choose the event category you want this to link to. And then if you set it as a district calendar, you'll get a second drop down where you get to define the specific district calendar to link to. The next option on our list is resource, and this pops up a select resource button where you can choose any resource from your resources list and have that be the link for this page. Have this be the link for this menu. And then we also have external URL. And this allows you to take a URL from any other website and plug it in here, and then your users will be taken to that website. You do need the full URL from the website you want to link to, though, so copying and pasting from the browser is the easiest way to make that happen. Now, we do have a no link option here, but we actually don't recommend using that for level 1 menu items. It does have some uses in level 2 items or on page menus, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So we're going to set this as a page. The next feature is how you want this page to open. You want to define whether it opens in the same window or a new window. And because I'm linking to a page on my own website, I'm going to set this as same window. Now let's talk about this next feature, the right align menu on page. So by default, the menu drop-downs are going to align with the left side of the main menu item button, and then they're going to extend to the right across your page content. Once you get to a menu that's a little bit past the center line of your website, that default behavior doesn't look as good and isn't as functional because that drop-down menu might be extending off the right side of your page, like so. You can't, when it extends off the right side of the page, the content isn't all visible and you may not be able to access all of your content. So we don't really want this behavior. So going back to our menu item, you can turn on right align menu on page. And then instead of it showing up to the left side of the button and over it's going to function like these other drop downs where it's going to align with the right side of the page. There we go. And then it'll extend more towards the center, and it'll make sure that all of your menu content is both visible and accessible. If you reorder your main level menus, you'll want to double check this because you might need to change which menus right align and which left align to keep them working correctly and looking good on your site. The last field here is styles, and for the most part, y'all won't need to use this. But what I have here is we have a couple of different code styles added in the style sheet of your website. And this adds a little piece of content to the dropdown to share extra information with your users. The two that we use the most are calendar, and this will show the next few upcoming events on your dropdown. And the other one is contact. Contact, yes. And this shows council contact information on that dropdown. Once you're done adding your menu item, you can click create and that will add it to your system. Now I'm actually going to back out of this one instead of committing this level 1 because I know that that will make my menus wrap and I don't want that. So now I'm going to go through adding a new menu that is going to be our level 2 menu item. All right, so level 2 menu items are added to the drop-down under a level 1 parent menu, but are otherwise set up almost exactly the same way as your level 1 menu items. And you can add as many items to the drop-downs as you need within reason. The drop-downs will lengthen to accommodate all the menu items you add, but just keep in mind that having a ton of menu items might make it harder for your users to find your content. So the first thing we do is we set a name as we want it to appear in our dropdown. And then we're going to switch from level 1 to level 2. And this brings up a new field where we want to set the parent. So I'm going to set this up under the summer camps drop-down menu. And I'm going to set this to a resource. This list you'll see is just the same as what we looked at on the level 1 items. And it's always best practice to set this to a link. The one exception to that when you might want to use no link is, actually I'm going to show you that in a second. So I'm going to set my Leader's Guide menu item to a resource, and then we'll go ahead and link something. Now, I'm setting this to the parent of summer camps. If I decide I want to move this later, it's usually possible to change the parent and move this item to another menu. But every once in a while, the conditions will be such that you can't. And if that comes up and you want to move something to a new menu and the system won't let you, just delete this one and start a fresh one on the other menu that you want it to show up as. All right, so I'm going to set this to summer camps again. We'll select our resource as our Leader's Guide. And then the last thing is, how do I want this link to open? With this one being a PDF resource, I'm going to set it to new window so that they don't lose my content. And save. All right. Oh, menu item already exists. Okay, so it won't let you add a duplicate to make sure that you aren't adding what you already have. Now let's talk about setting up a menu item with no link. I have an example of that here where I've set the name as hidden and we've added some code to take this and make a blank space in your menu. And that helps to visually break up the menu items that you have on this dropdown. And then we'll use no links, that it's not going anywhere. And that will provide just a visual spacer. So if you want to separate your types of links, you can do that with this method. And this is one of the few reasons you might use no link in your menus. The rest of the time, you should absolutely set a link so your users go somewhere when they click on this word that looks like a button. All right, now if you need to make changes to a saved menu item, you can edit it by clicking on the card directly or by selecting Edit from the three-dot menu. I'll walk through the options for each type of menu item in a moment. Let's talk about the three-dot menu for just a second. The three-dot menu also has an option to delete the menu item, or you can delete from within the editor. As you're deleting menu items, if you delete a sub-item, that will delete that specific sub-item. So that's deleting a level 2 menu option. If you delete a level 1 item, it will delete both the level 1 item and all of its sub-items. When you are restoring deleted menus, it works the same but in reverse. Let's turn on Show Deleted. If you restore a level 1 item, it's going to bring back that item and all active sub-items. And then if you restore a sub-item, it's going to bring back that one specific sub-item. Now, the order I mentioned before is that this is exactly how they're showing up on the website. The main items show up in this order across the top bar, and the sub-items are going to show up in the order you define. You can reorder items in your menu in a couple of different ways. You can drag and drop menus into a different order. Turn off Show Deleted. And then drag and drop to reorder. You can also use the up and down arrows on the right-hand side, or you can use the three-dot menu and move up or move down. These all work exactly the same, so it's whatever you feel comfortable with. And then after you have made your changes, make sure you click the Save Order button at the bottom, and then it'll stick. If you reorder level 1 items, just don't forget to go over to your website, refresh, and make sure that your menu alignment still works the way it should. The other type of menu is menus on pages. Menus on pages provide more navigation once the user gets to a page or a section of pages. And these menus appear on the right side panel of a page in desktop view. And then when you switch to mobile devices, they're going to show up in two places. First, there's a drop down up here at the top that shows our page menu. And then as we scroll down, all of our sidebar content has been moved below our main content of the page. So there's our camping resources page menu. These menus are great to group links under a main concept or topic. For example, if you have a set of pages for a summer camp, you could use a page menu to include links for camp-related things, like your staff application or the leader's guide for this year. You can search through these menus in the admin interface using the search bar at the top, and that will search through all menus and all menu items. And then you can also turn on the Show Deleted, just like with the site navigation menus, and restore menus and menu items that have been previously deleted. The menus on pages work more like groupings of items rather than having the level 1 menu items and the level 2 menu items like with the site navigation. When we click New Menu here, this is going to start a new main menu or grouping with a title. This title defines your grouping, and it'll appear at the top of the menu on the page. All right, now we have our sample menu. And then if you expand the menu with the left arrow here, you'll get to see any of the sub items on this menu, anything that's assigned here. This menu doesn't have anything yet, so I'm going to go ahead and click on New Item. And this is going to start a new item specifically under this parent of sample. Now we have this form for a new menu item. It is going to look very familiar because it is almost identical to adding a new site navigation menu item, but with just a few differences. So I'm going to add a summer camp item for this, and let's do the leader's guide over here. And I am going to link that to a resource and set that to be my leader's guide. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to change course on that. I'm going to do a page. I have a specific thing I want to tell you about a page. So this is going to be my summer camp event page. So I'm going to set that to be the summer camp event page again. Okay. I could also link this to different things like the calendar for the summer camp category. I could link to a resource like a PDF Leader's Guide, or I could set this to an external URL like the Annual Health and Medical Record page at scouting.org. You can use no link here along with the hidden title to add a blank space to visually break up your menu items. About the only need to use no link. So we've got this set to a page, and it's going to my Great Sky Country Scout Residence Summer Camp. And then I want to define where that opens. And this is again on my site, so I'm going to keep this as same window. All right, now let's talk about this toggle. Show sample menu on this page. Each of your menus on pages can be shown on pages, of course, but each page can only have one menu shown on it. You can link to that page from multiple menus, but you can still only show one menu on this page. So if this page doesn't have a menu yet, we can turn on show this sample menu on this page. And then that's what's going to show here. I could interlink from elsewhere, but I just can't add multiple menus. If I already have another menu shown on this page, I will get a warning when I try to save. It'll let me know what menu is shown on this page, and then I would have to turn off this toggle in order to save my menu item. So let's try that here. And I got the warning. A different menu is already shown on this page. And then it tells me that it's the summer help menu that's shown on this page. So I either need to turn off show menu on this page for that item, or leave this one as just an extra link to my page. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off this toggle, and that will allow me to click create and add this to the website. Now, obviously, this setting does not apply if you are linking to something besides a page. If you're linking to a calendar or another website or a resource, and then this toggle just won't be there. So you don't need to worry about it if it's not a web page on your site. All right, so now we have our sample menu with a single page linked on it. If you need to make changes to a menu item that's already been added, you can edit it by clicking on the card directly or by selecting Edit from the three-dot menu. I talked about deleting menu items earlier when I was talking about site navigation menus. You can also delete menu items from menus on pages when they're no longer needed. Now, one fun thing about this process of adding, deleting, restoring is that you can build menus that you don't need yet, or that are seasonal menus like popcorn that only comes up for a few months every year. And then once they're built, and when you have time and everything's the way you want it, you can delete the menu to take it down from the site. And then when you're ready to turn it back on, you just restore the parent item, and there's your menu all ready to go. So this allows you to build your menus early when you have time and make sure they're the way you want them, and then you can restore them just when you are ready to use them. Now, I want to talk a little bit about changing menu order. This works almost the same as with your site navigation menus. The only difference really is that the menu groupings can't be sorted manually. These are listed alphabetically on the admin side to make it easier to find and manage your menus, but the menus in this order are not really shown anywhere because you're defining which pages they show up on. So there's no need to sort them manually. If you do change the order in one of these menus, don't forget to save the order changes to have them be saved for end users. The last main thing you'll need to learn in order to build your site is the Pages section. However, there is a lot to cover with that, so I'll be covering Pages in the Building Web Pages webinar. All right, today I showed you the settings you need to configure your website and navigation, as well as how to manage the master lists for contacts and resources. If you have questions about using any of the features I showed you today, please send us an email to support@tentaroo.com or schedule a training at admin.tentaroo.com/training.